Okay, so today we're doing something different. Gonna be first off, it's a congratulations to Bennyq. He's doing the race to rank 1, and I guess he won. I didn't even know he won. I was just trying to find out where he was. It seems he's hit Master, which means he's going to be Grandmaster tomorrow, essentially. Other competitors, I guess, was Nog, Rudy, Inbound, Adapting. Adapting's win rate is 40 and 19, and somehow, I guess Nog's is pretty good too, but it doesn't matter about those guys. We're talking about Benny. 45 and 21 win rate, and he has won the race to rank 1. So let's VOD review a game that he sent me. I'm unsure what it's going to look like, but let's just run through what he does. Okay, we fit pretty nicely down here in the corner, not covering anything. We can see Benny's HUD, essentially. I will skip the first bit. So if we look at the lobby in general, I thought he'd tell me to review something that's a bit... Like, I'm not hating the people in this game, but I thought he'd tell me to do a bit more closer matchmaking lobby. I know that Digits has been spamming the hell out of ranked. I just don't know about Andromeda, Gozen, Villain, and Slayer. I know Slayer from last couple seasons. Don't know if he's a mid main though. And then if you look at Bennyq's team, he's got himself in mid, which is fine, as well as Genetics playing Yana support, which is interesting. And then Auto Speed on set. And Cayenne, I don't know who that is. And I don't know who the Charybdis is either. So it's not the biggest lobby, but we'll still review it anyway and see what Bennyq might be doing that you aren't doing in mid. First thing we'll talk about, other than the start, where they're going to split both camps, is I think Merlin's a great pick for any MMR. Reason being, in ranked games, normally, unless you're really, really trolling, you will get to level 20, and Merlin's one of the best level 20 mages, super scaling, and this is what people need to do, in my opinion. I don't know why mid laners, especially in West Coast that I've been playing recently, aren't running to that speed buff. A lot of mid laners are soloing this mid wave, which just completely ruins them. Also, there's an angle for a cringe gank at level 2 that I've seen many junglers do. But Merlin really, really strong early due to stance change, like having the ability to have four abilities at the start of the game is super strong for the first wave. Unfortunate that his ADC gets diffed early on, but we'll see what happens here. He should be pretty fine into a Vulcan matchup. He has to misplay pretty bad to get soloed by a Vulcan, to be honest. But Lancelot at 5 is probably where he should start being a bit more weary. I will have to swap between... Let's see if there's another way. Nah, I have to swap between here, this HUD, and this HUD when it comes to items. So he has started with Conduit Gem. Not Conduit Gem, but... Or is it Conduit Gem? Yeah, it's Conduit Gem with Book Tier 1. I suspect he'll do double book, like a Book of Thoth into a Tablet of Destinies. Is it a good game for that? Yeah, it's a pretty good game for that due to, I don't want to say 3 tanks, but Bake Kujira, you need to have some pretty good tank shred for him, as well as Osiris, probably going to have a lot of percent mitigation. Just inherently in his kit, he's also going to probably get Onis, and true damage is really strong. Although I'm kind of saying the opposite of what's true, where percentage mit is actually good into true damage, but still true damage is just good, right, to have into super tanky people. And then Lancelot may be a pseudo tank if he's horse. So he plays aggressive here due to... Wait. I'm gonna go back and review this. I don't understand how Vulcan was able to full kit Benny there. Because it's interesting, Benny blinks forward and does a bunch of damage, which I think was fine because Vulcan has he backfired really early. Like he backfired here. So Benny blinks past the turret, out of turret range here. But the backfire for Vulcan being on such a short cooldown makes the trade not as good, right? He still gets the priority for the Meteor. That Vulcan turret, very annoying. And this is like, I don't want to say it's the difference. It's just what makes Benny Benny is his insane aggression. Like, genuinely insane aggression. Like, he just blinked forward and full kitted that Vulcan to attempt to get the Scepter. Now, Scepter is broken, and it is fair to go for Scepter. But in mid, you'd probably want to get more XP from clearing the Meteor and more gold from clearing the meteor. The scepter is just kind of like a byproduct of that. So he's going to back here, and what's he going to get? It's just going to be a book tier 2, and he goes Chalice. Chalice, I haven't seen many mid laners doing Chalice, and I don't know if he does it very often. And it's weird to me to pick up a Chalice once you're already not wearing a scepter. But is he not going to go Soul Gem this game? I'm just interested into why Chalice. It's not like Vulcan outranges Merlin like a Thoth. I could see Chalice being an item that's picked up into Thoth, maybe Ra, maybe not Vulcan. But things like Vulcan and Kukulkan, you don't need Chalice. You don't really need too much HP 5 because I'm fairly certain he should just be clearing the wave. But maybe the thought process is that he wants to be super aggressive, and Chalice kind of lets him be a bit more aggressive and blink in a lot more. I know I definitely wouldn't recommend a Chalice on Merlin. But hey, I'm not Bennyq and I'm not rank 1. One thing I was saying earlier, and then Bennyq's playstyle kind of contradicts it, is that I think Merlin is a great mage for anyone of any MMR to play, due to how safe Merlin is, right? He can only die if he blinks forward, and Bennyq may blink forward to limit test and to, you know, prove how good he is. But if you hold your blink, you're pretty much unkillable for a long time. And if they do, like, dump a lot of ults onto you in the mid lane, it should be traded pretty often. Getting some priority onto... Just poking the bash in air. Might actually get it. You should probably look for a cheetah recall here if this... See if he does. That Bastion, like, if that was one auto less, it's such a good Bastion. He should back here. Yeah. It sucks that the Bastion took a tiny bit longer, but he's not really going to be affected by it too much. And then he finishes his Book of Thoth. Yep. Beads being the relic he picked at the start of the game into a Lancelot. It's so he can beads the cripple field and blink away, but I think it'd be pretty hard for a Lance to hit a Merlin with the ult without the Merlin being able to blink, especially when you're at Benny's caliber, right? I think he could have gotten away with something like an Aegis and played a lot more his style, but you know, beads is always safe. It's just that Lance Vulcan's just a lot of damage when you probably die through beads if they get on top of you anyway. Especially if you're blinking forward like you did earlier. But hey, he's only done it once, so I don't need to harp on it for a while. He just pop his shard to get some cooldown back so he can farm a camp. So far, a lot of the action has been in dual lane, which is unfortunate. What's Genetics' scoreline? He's just 0-1 with Prophetic Yana support. I don't know why he's playing Yana support. Genetics is just on a tear recently. I think he went like 10-1 just playing different gods every time earlier on. So he can play whatever the hell he wants, to be honest. So, no action in mid lane is kind of unfortunate. Sorry, I'll get rid of that off the screen. Didn't realize how long that was there for. But yeah, no action so far in mid lane. Just a lot of standard farming for both mid laners. Not going for mid camp stairs, really unlike Benny. But he's just going to get priority here. So, it's something that people should kind of do. Like, Yanis will hold the mid camps for him. But Benny always clearing mid waves before doing a side camp. Even if it's at their tower line, it just gives him free pressure to rotate to any side. So if he wanted to go to dual lane there, he could have, but he chose to come back to mid. And the reason he can do that is because Vulcan's going to be pinned to that wave. Like, Vulcan is throwing if he leaves, and Benny's wave shoving into Vulcan's tower. Vulcan also is in... Well, that's a free wave for Vulcan. He should reset here. Yeah, he's going to go reset. That's good by Vulcan. He was stuck at half HP. Benny had him tied down. And Benny's duo Q is looking like they're inting, but let's see if this rotation pays off. He's punishing the back of Vulcan here. Okay, Genetics kind of costed big time. It's a bad fight. Will it? Yeah, he instantly gets out. Instantly gets out. Very good by Benny. He realized it was a good idea, and as soon as it turned bad, it's done, right? Blinking in here is crazy, but he did just see the Lancelot use their ult. But this is where I think Beads kind of sucks, because it didn't really do too much. You know what I mean? So even though he's rank 1, he can have some criticism. I think beads was such a useless pickup. But he's backed. Will he do double book? He is doing a Tablet of Destinies build. Very good. This will slow down his immediate power spike. So by immediate power spike, I mean like his level 2 double flat pen with Divine Ruin. So Book of Thoth gives you flat pen, and then Divine Ruin gives you flat pen. So he will be a tiny bit weaker when he finishes this Tablet of Destinies, but his late game will scale completely. What I would like to see is a third item Charon's coin, or a third item 20% off. Even if it's Typhon's Fang. Like, I don't really care. It just needs to be a % pen item. Mirrodin is also another option. Mirrodin's probably the better option. But so, one thing that does suck is the amount of pressure in this mid matchup. So if we look at the pressure that Bennyq is going to have on him via Vulcan, via Lancelot, and via Barke Kajuria, it's a lot of pressure onto Merlin. Luckily, like I said earlier, Merlin's a pretty safe god. But if you look at Vulcan, I'd say Vulcan's a pretty punishable mid laner, but the things that Vulcan is facing aren't really good at punishing a Vulcan. You've got a CC, like CC less. So no CC on the set. CC less jungler. He's just an auto attack based jungler who really thrives on cleaning up, right? And then he's got a Yana support, which is a utility kind of poke support who really gets value on punishing, like, I'd say, a mobile supports and a mobile junglers. For example, if this genetics Yana support was on the other team, I'd say it's a pretty good pick. Right? If it was into a set and into a Milan or into a Charybdis, right? They're things that, like, small amounts of CC do a lot of stuff. So Threshold for Yanis doesn't really do too much to Lancelot, it doesn't do too much to the Whale, it doesn't really do too much to Vulcan. But Threshold, super valuable for his team, to be honest. And portals have a lot of utility that it's just completely broken. Yanisult also completely broken in my opinion. So Benny has a lot more kill pressure on him than Vulcan should have. He just backed. What did he get? He finished his tablet. He's nearly got full book stacks. What has the Vulcan done? So Vulcan's done the early build with Divine Ruin. So he's nearly got his Book of Thoth fully stacked and Divine Ruin. So Vulcan is really strong right now. This is interesting that Merlin, or Benny, decides to trail this fight. We'll see how he plays this. Good portal by Genetics. He just ults for the hell of it. He gets Lance ult, which is really good, and that's it. That's the winning trade. Genetics doing whatever he wants to do is whatever he wants to do. He's got Prophetic Cloak, he's a tanky Yanis. Yanis is built to be annoying, right? So the follow-up by Benny is pretty good. Capitalizing on the mistakes of the Lancelot by continuing to go in, right? The other... Oh, this is... Link's okay. But we kind of saw what Yanis can do. Another good example with the portal, Threshold. It's okay into like this ranked game due to people with super mistakes, but here comes the Barke Kujura pressure, Osiris pressure. No Osai, I mean no Yanisult, which means that Benny doesn't have an easy escape, right? Oh, and then auto speed just trolls the hell out of him. What the hell was that? That's another thing I didn't really talk about. Auto speed's playstyle is incredibly hard to play with. Incredibly easy to play against. I guess it depends on the person. But the way that this set is played is... He's the most... People will make fun of him for not doing too much, but he's the most high percentage player, I think, ranked as soon, right? He won't do anything unless it's nearly like a 90% play or above, which is why he climbs so much, right? And by saying that, I mean, he's not going to commit to a play unless he knows it's 100% good, or unless it's tilted. I've seen a lot of clips where he's doing something that is completely wrong, but when he's on his grind, he's just doing something that's super easy to commit to. As I said, he goes on to Vulcan, but he doesn't really like commit to anything, you know what I mean? He just does that because there's nothing else to do on the map. But, back to Benny. Back to Benny. He died. He's doing a breastplate build. I despise this build. I despise this build. Into their team comp, I really don't like it. Let's see if Osai's doing an Exy build. He hasn't yet. We'll see if Osai ends up doing an Exy build. About Executioner. So Genetics is just trolling. Once again, playing time. It seems like the Yana support up at their back camps is just... It's diverting attention away from anything on the map, and they're just chasing a Yanis around, which is... obviously not a good use of their resources. There's that double pen coming in huge. Look at that damage. So, Benny is 1-1-0 so far. Not too much. How can the rank 1 mid laner in the world come back and win this game, right? Especially with such a high pressure... Where's my mouse? Such a high pressure comp versus such a low pressure comp. You know what I mean? Even Charybdis is so low pressure, and it's hard to lose pressure against a Jingwei. But somehow I think they've managed to do that. Charybdis, very, very bad god. So, auto speed goes in, creates a lot of time, a lot of pressure for Benny. Benny goes in, he gets a pretty decent pull, but here's that Bake Kajura ult, the whale ult. It's just an instant nullifier from any team fight. So Benny's half, he's getting chased by the entire team. He Aegis in anticipation of a backfire. Because a lot of Vulcans will put the turret down and backfire as a turret hits, as the turret shoots. So decent by Vulcan to put the turret down and abuse, like, I guess, the audio mechanic of knowing that Benny's going to go for the Aegis on the follow-up of the turret being placed. I can guarantee that's not what happened, but if that's what Slayer did, that's pretty high-level mind games. So, once again, Benny still didn't die that fight, which is insane. No one actually kind of, like, really died. It wasn't... And that's one thing you'll notice from high MMR versus low MMR lobbies, is that fight at back camps was pretty volatile, and a lot was used, but then everyone dissipated and left the scene. In low MMR, everyone's going to stay around and fight until someone dies. Like, it has to end in a death, right, guys? And then everyone overcommits and nothing happens. Whereas people in these lobbies value the exchange to be done and then farm to be had, right? A lot more value on getting money. See the dive on right side, auto speed and genetics. Diving that Jingwei as a Set and Yanis. If they pull it off, it's nuts. And they have. I guess there's a clone, there's a portal, there's a threshold, there's so much stuff that the Jingwei has to somehow get away from. But they trade the map. Jingwei dies for a Pyromancer. Genetics giving the portal to Benny just to help the tempo of this Gold Fury. And that's gone instantly. Osai has the first rotation. Will Milan even come? Looks like Milan's not coming. Charybdis looks like she's falling. Genetics is poked out. Auto speed's poked out. Good by Milan to not rotate. Gold Fury's done, and they only trade the Charybdis. I'd say it's worth trade. Charybdis is kind of useless anyway. Obviously, it sucks that there's a fight after gold, which means that, you know, Benny's farming has to chill out for 40 seconds. That's the only frustrating part in reality. But decent pressure. What are they going for here? I think he just wanted to get to mid. Interesting. Anyway, weird play. Benny's build, he does have his breastplate finish, and he does have tablet stacks. So if he does do anything weird with aggression, we can just say he's stacking tablet, right? Is that a tablet stack? It might be bugged. It's stuck on 18, maybe. Yeah, it's stuck on 18. So we're just gonna not worry about tablet stacks. There's nothing I can actually do if it's stuck on 18. So, red team, Benny's team, posturing for the Stygian Beacon. Only 3 more levels until this Merlin becomes a pretty big issue, in my opinion. Especially if he gets a Reaver online. I mean, that's such a waste of both big ults. Unless that wasn't a whale ult, I'm unsure. Charybdis unable to come to this fight. Osai has priority to rotate. There's the whale ult. Alright, auto speed is down. The whale might be really good into these, any auto attack assassin. And he kind of fallen asleep at the wheel there. You notice that Benny juked back into his 2 because he felt pretty comfortable fighting. Osai gets pretty big tether value here. Once again, it's looking disastrous for Bennyq's team. Mulan creates space in the back, but there's no real kill pressure because auto speed's already dead. The set's already out of the fight. So Mulan will eventually lose that if he stays out. Benny moving forward due to the HP advantage. He has double relics. I think he might beat this tether. No, he won't beat this tether. I think Benny should still play aggressive here. Oh my god, Junix is dying to fucking jungle farm? What is he doing? It wasn't even a good creep. He died to back camps. This is insane. I can see maybe why Benny sent me this video to VOD review, because his team is costing pretty big. Not just draft. Like, the draft is awful. Well, it's hard to play in ranked. Obviously, draft doesn't matter too much in ranked, but this is a hard game to win. And, you know, the picks aren't necessarily good. Nothing's gone well, apart from that Gold Fury. I'd say the dive in duo plus the Gold Fury is the only good player that's happened so far. So Benny is going Reaver, so he's going like a full yellow number build, right? Reaver procs, tablet procs. I still pray he gets 20% pen as his last item. With Gemma Focus and Karan's coin. No, he won't get Karan's. He won't do either. He'll just do Mirrodin, I think. But he just, I don't know. Somehow he'll do damage. With Gemma Focus, the 15% extra damage is nuts. So level 20, you can get there without the 20% pen. Just because of how strong Gemma Focus is. So let's see if we can start using these Janus rotations. Genetics is a global mobility expert. He's Horus. Made him famous on E United in his rookie year. I don't like this positioning by Benny. His team's all backed. There's a TP coming in. He's just looking for stacks on tablet. That's what's happening. See, I gotta remember that. He's just gonna, if he's doing anything silly, he's getting tablet stacks. There's no escape. Alright, what is the digits build? Let's look at more builds in this game. So Oni's Hunter's Garb is finished for the Osai, but he's gone Prophetic too. So there's actually no real kill pressure onto Benny with that Osai. It's gonna take way too long for Osai to do anything. And Lancelot's kind of done a hybrid build too. So this breastplate might come in clutch, but there's action. The most useless god in the game goes down. And it was looking to macro instead of help the fight. It's awful too. Any stacks? I don't know. No stacks. It's just a waste of time. Go do back camps, go do something else. Please, Benny. Your team stinks. Alright, he's gonna look for some more tablet stacks here. He gets them. Oh, that is... This is all insanely bad. This is good poke. Nothing's gonna come from this. It's just the enemy team kind of trolling. And now they're gonna try to do pyros. So this is a massive mistake by blue team. They just used a resource, like a pretty big resource in Osiris ult, and then they think that they can stay on the map and fight. Massive Mulan ult. Osai no ult, so it's kind of like low pressure. This is a big teleport. Alright, Osai goes down. Go through that. Yeah. He can go aggro here. What the hell did Vulcan beats? Nice blink. Oh, beautiful portal by Genetics. Oh my god. Even if Vulcan didn't die there, Beads and Aegis, disgusting. But not much, to be honest. Great Janus portals, that fight. But, if you think about it, massive mistake by blue team's tanks to stay on the map after they whiffed their ults. You know what I mean? But, builds-wise, the Vulcan has kind of started trolling with a Warlock staff. Not the best, especially when the entire team is full tank apart from your Jingwei. And the Jingwei is doing the hydrogen build. I wonder if that actually is hydrogen. But if you don't know the hydrogen build, it revolves around one-shotting off a combo. But he doesn't have Death's Temper, which is part of it. So it's not like a full hydrogen build. Reaver online for Benny. Gemma Focus is online too. This is where it starts happening. This is where the Merlin can transition into a complete monster. And in ranked, this is where it's incredibly hard to do anything if there's a Merlin in the game. Let alone a Bennyq Merlin. Obviously, the Merlins in your plat games are going to be dying on cooldown because they have no positioning. But I think Benny also isn't the best positional player in the world, but he knows his limits with damage, and he knows the time that he has to be silly. Like, he knows how silly he can be. And by silly, I mean stupid aggressive. Like right here, this is so disrespectful to be walking forward. But there's a couple things that make this good. I'll say after it, right? The Lance has completely trolled his build by not building enough damage to kill anyone. He's gone Arc Druid's Void Shield, right? Osai, also in the same boat. He's gone a no damage build, which can be good if you can play for time. And to play for time, it means that the tanks of blue team can only play stupid aggressive when the back line of blue team is around. And I think Benny knows his threat level pretty well. Like, he's not scared of anyone. He's not scared of this Lancelot, even if Lancelot was full HP, because he has this mentality that he's just different. He missed. But just through Benny's movement alone, he can probably outplay a diving Lance, although he can't see. But let's see if the movement comes in clutch. Oh my god! Genetics has actually made me like this pick quite a bit. So he gets hit by the 1, he Aegises the 2, he beats the slow, he blinks out, and he's just going to reset. There's not too much. So while I gassed him up, I kind of casters cursed him. That he got a bit too silly. But it all went wrong through the Vulcan damage over the wall. And mage damage over walls is so crazy in Smite. And honestly, I think that's what makes a mid laner good or not, is how much damage can they do through walls. Because it's the only way to actually surprise someone. Like, this Lance should not be okay walking at an ADC when there's a Merlin that he can see, right? But if Benny's behind a wall and someone walks at his ADC from the other side of the wall, Benny's able to surprise them with his crazy damage. It's just, you know, if you can't see the damage, it's obviously going to do a lot more damage, because if you see them, you anticipate the damage is coming, therefore you shouldn't be hit by it. But Merlin very strong at just, 1, not being able to miss. His abilities are massive. 2, everything he does procs a Soul Reaver multiple times, even his auto attacks. And then 3, low cooldowns, super low cooldowns on his ice stance, make him miserable. Especially with Benny doing his... he's going Breastplate to Soul Gem, so he really is doing a yellow numbers build. So once this Soul Gem's online, every third ability is going to give a pulse that deals damage, plus heals Benny, so his survivability is even more prevalent into such a low damage comp. This Jingwei is the only real kill threat he has. Obviously Vulcan can kill him too if he gets hit by everything, but that has to be insane. Like, he has to really misplay to be hit by a whole Vulcan kit, whereas a Jingwei can dash in and just auto win twice. Okay, auto speed gets poked out by the Vulcan ult, and it's completely fine. We'll go back to Benny only. Okay, Osai ult down, Milan ult down. Small poke getting thrown out. Here's the walls that I was talking about, the damage over walls. He blinks in! Oh my god, he has 0 respect. Big Yanis ult. And it doesn't have to hit people, remember, it just gives the red team so many more angles to play with. You can hear that Charybdis coming through on the map. Osai's dead, he's already ulted. Lance has no damage because he's built like a Plat 2 player. I don't know what the hell he's thinking with this build. Honestly, if Lance had built full damage, I think this game goes completely different. But he didn't. Can't see. Oh yeah, I can see the FG health. I mean, they're fine. See the Cryptus build. He's gone pretty standard. I'd say that's probably the best build. Not the best build, but can't go wrong with Dev's Exy Dom crits. Right. Okay, his team playing at their tier 2 is no bueno. I'll let Charlie out. Gonna let my cat out. So how can he close out this game? It should be pretty easy. The siege defense for blue team is actually quite bad. They only have Vulcan for siege defense. Jingwei, in my opinion, is really bad siege defense. Honestly. And the reason I look at siege defense in a way is like the core abilities of Osai, Lance, and Bake Kujira, the 3 tanks, kind of revolve on them being in melee range and moving forward, which is not what you want under siege defense, you know? And you're also versing a Merlin, which is massive space denial. And if you do move forward, you have an auto speed set that can probably 1v1 the Vulcan. But then again, you never know with his auto speed. So they can slowly just push things in, and Vulcan has to stand up to the wave to clear, which means that eventually blue team should get poked out if a siege goes traditionally, right? If they just 5-man down a lane, red team will eventually poke them out completely. That'll never happen because sieging theory is just not a thing in Smite. No one really thinks about how teams have to defend, right? As well as this stuff happening, like just like, what? Just literally what? We're going back. That's FG and red pot, right? Here we go. So Jingwei flies in, and Benny already sets his sights on her, right? He sees her through. He moves the camera and he sees her through the left side of his screen, and then he follows her in. One ability, that's 2 abilities. He hits the stance stage and he just swap ice one, and she's gone. He Aegises the Lance ult, and to be honest, if he did VOD review this, he'd realize that he doesn't have to Aegis the Lance ult at all, because 0 damage Lance. And it lets him, if he held his Aegis this entire fight, he probably has more angles to blink forward and get onto Vulcan or something and play stupid with Aegis. But like here, example, fucking 20. But kills him anyway. Lifts the 1, doesn't matter, it'll be up again soon. Look how much little damage he's taking from their tanks. And then once he gets Soul Gem proc, he just heals it back up. And that's the game. Ah, that's a really, really interesting one. I'd say the picks on Benny's team were some of the most disheartening things that you can verse. And I don't know if Benny saw these builds before he built this kind of pseudo tank with Soul Gem, Breastplate, and then true damage with Gem of Focus, or if he does that every game. But it did work into what an awful dive job that they had here. And to be honest, Bake Kujira does really well into a set, plus it could do decently into Merlin, but the Yanis portals kind of come in clutch into the late game. I think the Osai and the Lance kind of costed big time. They couldn't kill Benny, there was no kill pressure on the Benny, and his build was super scale. So even if there was super kill pressure and there was more things that he had to play around, it's Merlin. He's going to get to late game anyway, and hopefully, if people are focusing Merlin, someone else can clean up, like auto speed, right? But I feel like there was no kill pressure at all from that blue team. And I don't know. I feel like Benny wanted me to say he popped off, but I think that That team just kind of stunk, bro. That team kind of didn't really do too much. But congrats on the rank 1. He went 7-1. There was a lot of movement diff. I didn't hype it up enough, but there was a lot of times where his movement was super nice and super clean. But there was also a couple silly moments. But that's just Bennyq gameplay for you. You know what I mean? I was going to cover more things in the road to, or the race to rank 1, but Benny's already won it, as we saw at the start of the video. So, I mean, if you want me to like review an adapting Nem game, or maybe like Bobby was there. Who else was there? Rudy, a West Coast ADC player. Beansuit Bob. I don't know. Anyone else that's on that race to rank 1, or any notable ranked players. I'll definitely watch one of their replays if you want me to. But yeah, that was fun. Something different. You know what I mean?